guys, I'm Sachinta and welcome to Simply Economics. So this is our second video on definitions and concepts in Introduction to Economics. Alright, let's start with production resources or factors of production. So you can get the definition from the word itself. Factors of production are the goods and services which are used in order to produce more goods and services. Alright, so there are 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Now there's a lot of questions asked on these factors of production, and definitely in your A-level paper there will be both MCQ and big question on factors of production. So this diagram, this picture, all right, shows you all 4 factors of production. This guy, he's picking up the apples. That's labor. Then there's land. You can see all the apple trees. I hope these apples looks like hearts. And then there's a guy driving the tractor. So the tractor and those machines, that's the capital. This guy, this woman, she has hands in her head. She's the entrepreneur. All right, we'll be discussing about each of these now. Let's start with land. You can also call it natural capital. Now guys, I'll be teaching you about land, and then in the exam they ask, tell us the features of natural capital, and don't be like, what the hell is this? There are other words. All right, so you should know it all. Anyway, land or natural capital are all the natural resources used in the production process. Now, I told you factors of production are goods or services which you use to produce something else. So, land is the natural resources that you use in the production process. And the payment for land is rent, obvious. And land is divided into 2 main categories as renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Now, if you understand English, you should understand what this is, because renewable resources are the resources which are replaced by nature. Let's check the example first: solar energy and wind energy. Now let's look at the features. They are replaced by nature. No, you don't go and replace the solar energy, the sun does. So it's replaced by nature. And speed of reproduction exceeds the speed of consumption. Now we know we have solar panels and all that, so we are using solar energy. However, there's more solar energy than what we use. Okay, and it won't end up. We can't drain all. I don't know. We might, but then we can't drain up all the solar energy. And these are live resources. Okay, so renewable resources can also, I told you in the question they can ask, give us some features about live resources, and then don't write something else. It's renewable resources. And then we have non-live resources, which are non-renewable resources, and these are not replaced by nature. For example, coal or natural gas. So I mean, if you check the news and all, you know fossil fuels are coming to an end, we are overusing and all that. All those problems are with non-renewable resources. That's why oil is so precious. All right, it might end up. So that's because the speed of consumption exceeds the speed of reproduction. All right, nature can't reproduce those as fast as we are using them. So that's a disaster. The next factor of production is labor. What I am doing right now. Yep, physical and psychological effort of humans used in production. Yes, so teachers also fall under this category. Okay, teachers, doctors, carpenters, everyone. But then it's not the teacher. I am not the labor. Right? These words that I speak, that's the labor. The things that I teach, that's the labor. If the carpenter, if he's making something, that's the labor, not the carpenter. All right? And the payment for labor is wages. And what do I get? Anyway, so what are the characteristics of labor? Labor can't be separated from the worker. Obviously, it's the work that he does. right? And it's not homogeneous, it's different from person to person. Now another person could read out the same slides, but he would suck, all right? It's not going to be good. Anyway, and labor, it's live resource. Labor is live resource, it has life, okay, and it has mobility. So labor can change, all right? They can change their occupation, something like that. And then there's an important thing called division of labor. Now this is something that is being used in factories and, all right, many large corporations, and there's good and bad to it, which I'll explain. And division of labor is anyway the assigning of different parts of a production process to different people in order to improve efficiency. Now let's look at a example. So in a chair factory there are about 10 people working, and then every person makes a chair. But then the owner comes and tells, no, we are going to do division of labor. And then one guy will be cutting all the wood, then one guy will be putting the wood together, one guy will be putting on the nails, one guy will paint it, one guy will polish it. All right, so that's division of labor. So the guy who cuts the wood only cuts the wood, the guy who paints only paints. All right, so when this division of labor takes place, there's something called specialization happening. Now specialization is the benefit a worker receives by concentrating on one task and getting the expertise for that task only. Now I told you earlier all the people used to make chairs, but now there's one guy cutting the wood, one guy painting, and that guy who cuts the wood can cut it better than anyone else, and the bugger who paints, he's the best painter. All right, because that's all he does. Easy. But look at this, there's bad in it also. Everyone's specializing. So if one bugger closes up, just imagine the pudding guy closes, so no pudding, you can't buy pudding from anywhere else. So that's a bad thing. Let's see merits and demerits of division of labor. So the merits: division of labor improves labor productivity through specialization. Now I told you the guy who cuts can cut it really well, the guy who can paint it really well, so that's good, improves labor productivity. And then there's innovations. Okay, so the guy who used to cut one piece of wood at a time, now he keeps two and cuts. All right, they innovate new ways and develop new ways to improve efficiency. All right, so that's that, and innovations. So all of that, those are merits. But then there are demerits. Now as you saw in the picture, okay, first of all there could be task related sickness. Now that guy, just imagine going to work every day and just cutting wood, sucks. All right, and then while those days he used to cut the wood, then he can make some designs, paint it, so there's work, but now he has to cut the wood, that's all. So task related sickness. And then risk of disruption to process. So just imagine the guy who used to cut wood is sick, okay, he's not coming on that day, and now none of those other guys know how to cut the wood, so the entire production process has to stop because of this one place in which the production had to stop. And so as I said there, now none of the other guys know how to cut the wood, so that leads to risk of structural unemployment due to occupational mobility. So the guys who used to paint can only get a job painting now, they can't go and do another job related to chairs except for painting, so it narrows you down, right? So that was labor, and now we have capital. This is pretty important. All right,